For the first time in 8 years, the Madrid derby has finally returned to the Champions League. In their matchup last week, Atletico stormed into the Bernabeu with a real sense of confidence, unbeaten in their last 4 games against Real and playing some of their best football in years. Meanwhile, Real Madrid entered the match with their form in question, missing key players like Jude Bellingham and struggling with defensive injuries. For once, it felt like this was Atletico's moment. But as the final whistle blew, the story felt all too familiar. Another battle, another close game, and yet Real Madrid walked home with the victory. It's the latest chapter in a one-sided rivalry that has lasted for almost a century. And now, with a single goal separating them heading into the second leg, Simeone's team faces a familiar question. Can they finally beat their eternal rival? The Madrid derby is one of the oldest fixtures in European football, dating all the way back to 1929 in La Liga. But its roots go even deeper than that. The rivalry began in 1903, when a group of Basque students living in Madrid founded Atletico as a branch of Athletic Club Bilbao. At the time, Real Madrid was already establishing itself as a dominant club in the Spanish capital. By the mid-20th century, the divide between the clubs was clear. Real Madrid, backed by the visionary Santiago Bernabeu, became a global powerhouse, winning the first 5 European Cups and turning football into a spectacle for Spain's elite. Their fanbase grew around the wealthier, more privileged areas of the city, and their relentless success earned them the nickname Los Vikingos. Atletico, meanwhile, forged its own identity. A club of working-class passion rooted in the blue-collar neighborhoods of Madrid. Their fans took on the moniker Los Indios, an identity built on grit, defiance, and a relentless underdog spirit. For a time, Atletico held their own. During the 1960s and 70s, they won 4 La Liga titles and even denied Madrid domestic doubles by beating them in back-to-back Copa del Rey finals. But then came the 80s and 90s. While Madrid continued their relentless trophy haul, Atletico fell into turmoil, sinking into debt and even suffering relegation in the year 2000. By the time Atletico returned to La Liga in 2002, the gap between the two clubs had never been wider. Over the following decade, Real winning the derby wasn't just a good bet, it was inevitable. In fact, between 1999 and 2013, Atletico failed to beat Real Madrid a single time. 25 straight derbies, more than 5,000 minutes of football, and absolutely 0 victories. For Atletico, this was humiliation at its peak. They weren't just losing to their biggest rival, they had become a punchline. But in December of that year, things were about to take an unexpected turn. When Diego Simeone took over Atletico in December 2011, his mission wasn't just to take down Real Madrid, it was to bring Atletico back to life. He built his new-look team around a relentless defense, tactical discipline, and an unbreakable mentality. With warriors like Diego Godin, Joao Miranda, Gabi, Koke, and a clinical number 9 in Radamel Falcao, Atletico rediscovered its fighting spirit. And in May of 2013, they proved exactly that. Atleti walked into the Bernabeu for the Copa del Rey final, still without a derby win in 14 years. But this time, they stood their ground. After 90 minutes of war, the game was logged at 1-1. Then, in extra time, Miranda met Koke's cross and sent a header past Diego Lopez. The streak was over, and for the first time in over a decade, Atletico celebrated a victory inside Madrid's own stadium. But Simeone wasn't done yet. A year after, in 2014, he led Atletico to the La Liga title, breaking a decade of dominance from Madrid and Barcelona. In just 3 years at the head of the team, El Cholo had actually managed to escape the shadow of their rivals. And yet, one challenge still remained. Because if Atletico truly wanted to dethrone Madrid, they had to do it where it mattered most, the Champions League. Winning La Liga was historic, breaking their derby curse was monumental, but Europe was still Madrid's kingdom. And that same year, Atletico would have their biggest chance yet. On top of their incredible domestic season, Simeone's side would also elevate their game in Europe, eliminating giants like Barcelona and Chelsea on their way to their first UCL final in history. And waiting for them in Lisbon was none other than their next door neighbor. The biggest game in Atletico's history, a chance to shake off a century of playing in Madrid's shadow. And after 92 minutes, it looked like they had actually done it. But moments before the end of the game, Madrid won a corner, and I don't have to remind you of what happened next. Atletico had been seconds away from immortality, only to watch it slip away at the last possible moment. By extra time, they were shattered. Madrid smelled blood, and like they always do in Europe, they finished the job. Bale, Marcelo, and then Ronaldo made the score 4-1, and Los Blancos went on to lift their coveted 10th European Championship. It wasn't just a legendary comeback victory, it was a statement that when it came to the biggest stage, Madrid always found a way. But that, my friends, might just be the beginning of what might be the most toxic relationship in sports. A 4-year nightmare where Atletico kept coming back for more punishment. In 2015, just when you thought Atleti might get their revenge in the quarterfinals, Chicharito stepped up out of nowhere to play executioner and deliver the dagger to their European dreams. Then the following year brought yet another final and another chance at redemption. Atletico fought back to force penalties after Carrasco's late equalizer gave them life. The stage was finally set for vindication, until Juan Fran's penalty struck the post and Ronaldo delivered the killing blow with that signature celebration that Atletico fans had grown to despise. But just when it seemed like the football gods couldn't be any more cruel, 2017 brought the two teams face to face once again in the semifinals. As per usual, Ronaldo dominated the first leg with a hat trick, but Atletico refused to go out quietly. In the return match, they stormed to an early 2-0 lead, making their fans commit the cardinal sin of actually believing again, only for Benzema to slice through their defense with a nasty run and set up Isco for the goal that crushed their spirits for the 4th consecutive year. This wasn't just a rivalry anymore, it was basically domestic abuse. For Simeone and his soldiers, each loss added another layer to the narrative that has defined this derby for decades, that no matter how far Atletico climb, Madrid will always be waiting at the summit. And now, in 2025, as these neighbors prepare for battle once more, the question isn't about tactics, form, or who's in better shape. It's about whether Atletico can finally slay the demon that's haunted them for over a decade. Because if not now, after all these years of heartbreak in Europe, maybe they never will. But what do you think? Drop your predictions in the comments, smash that like button if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more content just like this.